Hello. Hello, hello. Welcome. This is Brownie Rose Smith, live from the Forbidden Library. And today is the final day we will be reading Exordium on this channel. It has been an adventure of many ups and mostly downs. Mostly downs. But this will be the last time, and I'm a little sad. This is the start of a trilogy, so if you need more, you can find it. Let me just give you guys the buy link for it, the Amazon link for it, so that if you did enjoy these streams and would like to go buy it, it is right here in the chat, right for you. Click on that, and you can go buy it. This is not sponsored, just so as you knows. Not sponsored. Just got permission and just encouraging things. Ah, you cannot see the chat where it is. That's bad. Are you in the corner? No one puts chat in the corner except me. Ha 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 ha. And then if I put Exordium down there, and then you guys here. Maybe I'll get chat on my face, but hopefully not. Okay. So, as is the way with these streams. Oh, I moved something else. Let me move that back there. Okay, cool. As is tradition with these, I must summarize the book so far. That is 98% of the book I am about to summarize for you. This could take a good 20 minutes. I'll do my best to keep it as detailed as you need it, but also brief as fuck. So, Chapter 1 of Exordium. There's a dude who's down on his luck, he's desperate, he needs money, he's gonna starve, he can't find something to sell. So, he goes into these horrible ruins that no one goes into that leads to something called the Hollow, which is very dangerous. No one's dumb enough to go down there. And doesn't really find anything until he finds a magical item thing which seems to be super shiny and will get him lots of money and set him up for life, and he's like, yeah. Unfortunately, it wakes up some Draugia and they hunt him down and shank a bitch and he dies. Chapter 2, we are introduced to our main character, Nox. Nox is in a very similar position to the man in the first chapter. He also dives into these dungeons to try to find metal to sell. That's how he lives, how he survives, and he also has a sick mother on top of all that. So not only does he need to feed himself, he needs to get medicine and feed his mother. Here, all his old haunts are running dry. He had a little stash in one of them, but that's gone as well. So he goes off to the tavern to try find some work, see what he can do. But at the tavern, what he overhears is a group of adventurers, scroungers, and people in his position talking about said forbidden ruins, going into the Hollow and trying to find stuff there. Nox reckons that, well, at least if he's gonna do something suicidal, if he does it in a group, he might actually survive. So, he asks to join them, he joins them, they go on a little journey, they get to this Hollow, and Nox starts, he has a weird dream about 3 floating eyes in a void, judging him. Then when he goes in, he starts something's calling to him. This strange rhythmic, I can't remember, but it was something. So he follows it all the way and finds the magical item that the guy from the first chapter gets, which does exactly the same thing. It awakens the Draugia. Him and the rest of the party flee for their lives, only to find out that no matter where they hide, no matter how fast they run, the Draugia are being drawn to the magical item he has. So he tries to get rid of it. He tries to throw it into a ravine, but as he lets go, it sticks to his hand. MacGuffin says no. MacGuffin says no, you're not allowed. So, he just splits off from the rest of the party. The rest of the party leaves because that's the only way they can be safe. And he does the whole self-sacrifice thing. He tries to fight the Draugia off, but they basically knock him into a ravine where he falls, and then he wakes up and he's covered in spider webs. Oh no! Luckily the spider webs there's no actual spider yet. He cuts himself out of the spider webs, falls down to the bottom of a ravine, which luckily isn't that far down at that point, and tries to limp his way into finding an exit. Only to find the only stairs that he finds that go up are covered in more spider webs. This time he has the unfortunate time of not only meeting the spider, but all of the spider's babies. And they're hungry. So they get him, they poison him, they wrap him up in their web. All is almost lost for our dear Nox. Until the magical item, the MacGuffin, once more says no. It explodes and fries all the spiders and kills everything and splits. It splits into a ring on his finger and a magical talking fox called Zook. A very good boy. Zook does not know much about the world, much about Nox. He is just existing. He apparently came from the stars, and the three eyes that Nox saw also came to him, needing something from him, and bound him to the ring on Nox's finger. The two of them travel together, trying to avoid the Draugia, avoid dying. They fall into a river, fall down a bloody waterfall, nearly starve, nearly freeze after the water, all that good stuff. Meanwhile, Nox is filling Zook in on the world and how it's dying, really. The king is convinced if he can stop people using magic, if he can stop the use of magic, then the gods will somehow get their power back, return, and the world will stop just dying. People will start having babies again, there'll be less sickness, all of that good stuff. Obviously not everyone believes it, but it does mean anyone caught with magic is in for a bad time, especially with a particular horrible knight called Captain Ragvir, who I'll get to in a minute. We've seen him once in the tavern at this point, and Nox knows he's a bad time. But we'll get to that. So they finally find their way out of the hollow. The Draugia still keep chasing them, even out into the broad daylight, chasing them across a field. Nox manages to wade across a river, and they follow him into the river, and they melt. Because apparently we've got the whole flowing water gets rid of dark magic thing in this universe, which is wonderful. So they're finally safe. At this point, Zook's pretty hurt. He can't really walk on his own. The two of them are having arguments. Zook's pretty convinced that their destiny is to save the world and they need to figure out what's going on. Nox just wants to get home to his mum. He doesn't give a crap. He just wants to make sure his mum is okay. He promised his mum he'd get home safe, and that's what he wants to do. The two of them do stick together, if only because Zook is too injured to go on his own right now. They eat fish from the river and follow it up. They've ended up a lot further from Nox's city than they originally expected. They're going to have to go through some mountains even to get home. So they go to these mountains only to get stalked by a belding, I believe it called. It's a werewolf-esque creature, which nearly kills them if it isn't for the timely intervention of some wonderfully friendly orcs. So they chase off the belding, they treat them to a meal, and Nox is incredibly suspicious of them the entire time. Apparently they just do not have a very good reputation in the human settlements. And then they take him back to sort of their village, because they managed to convince him by saying they have a shaman there who does know about magic, which is one of the reasons they have a bad reputation with the humans. Because they use magic. The humans don't want anyone to use magic, so yeah. And the shaman says that he doesn't really know what's going on with them, but gives them a bit more information on the world dying and all that good stuff. Then unfortunately, the Royal Knights get on their trail. The group of orcs that saved them were supposed to be finding a new settlement, but they came back to help these guys. However, that does mean that the knights managed to catch up with them with their village before they managed to find a new settlement. It was a massacre. It was not nice. Nox and Zook did escape though, and they left. They went through a field, only to be attacked by the belding again. But the belding howled and turned back into a person. So it was a werewolf, we called it. After that, unfortunately, the belding wasn't the only one in the field. It was also the Holy Knights. Yay! Who really obviously see the ring on Nox's finger. Luckily, Zook doesn't talk, but apparently he effing died because he tried to protect Nox from the belding. Then they took him back to the city. We have no idea if Zook's okay or not. They said he was dead. We haven't seen a body ourselves, but the guards said he was dead. Nox is horribly tortured for a while as they tried to get the ring off him. Yes, they could cut off his arm, but it's made very clear that Captain Ragvir is just having fun. That he doesn't care about the ring. That when worse comes to worse, he will take his hand off or his finger off in order to get the ring from him. But he is having all the fun he can possibly have, torturing Nox. Eventually, he pulls Nox's mother and Nox's friend into the room, gives him another chance to give up the ring. Nox physically cannot give up the ring. He physically can't take it off, and it attacks anyone who tries to take it off him. So obviously, he can't do it. So his mother and his best friend are murdered in front of him. Yeah! That's about where we left off. Nox is still tied to a chair. Everything he cares about is dead. And all he has is a stupid magic ring he doesn't know how to use. Now we will continue with chapter 25 of Exodium. Please enjoy. The night crept into the jail as Nox sat bound to the chair. He no longer had the strength to hold himself up, and utter exhaustion was creeping into every piece of him that wasn't already numb. The ropes were cutting into his limbs painfully as he leaned against them. He didn't care. Nothing mattered anymore. Not after what happened. Nox was too tired to cry anymore as he stared down at the blood-stained stone in front of him. The bodies had even been dragged away, but the evidence still remained, reminding him each second of how he'd failed every single person in his life. Zook was dead, his body being scavenged by the birds out on the plains. His mother and Abby were being taken away, probably thrown into a mass unmarked grave outside of town where no one would ever find them. Abby's father would be coming home from work in the dark to find she was missing. The children scared out of their minds. He'd never know what came of her or why she'd been killed for no reason other than to cause Nox pain. He glanced down at the ring on his left hand that was swollen and bloody, cursing it with every fibre of his being. His forearm was black and blue, the fractured bones obviously out of place under his skin. He'd only taken Abby's advice. If only he'd taken Abby's advice, none of this would have happened. All of them would still be alive, living their day-to-day lives as if nothing had changed. Sure, it would have been tough, but so was everything else in the slums of Cald. Now nothing would ever be the same, and Nox found himself wishing for his own death. He wanted to be free of the pain and the guilt that threatened to crush his very soul. He'd already begun formulating a plan in his mind. When the captain came back in the morning, He'd chop off his hand. He'd do everything he could to struggle before they could cauterize the wound. With any luck, he'd bleed out before they could stop him. It wasn't a good plan, but it was the only way out. Running was no longer an option. He was too wounded and broken to get away, even if he was miraculously untied. His journey was over. All he wanted was release. A cry of pain from the next cell over roused him from his musings. "Look at this fucking animal!" A guard laughed, clearly drunk. He kicked and nudged the figure curled up on the floor. "What are ya? Some kind of feral freak?" The figure on the floor didn't respond or lash out. Even in the dim light, Knox could see the dark mop of oily hair and the bound hands. It was the belding that had been captured along with him. "Ah, you're no fun," the guard bellowed, giving him one last kick with no reaction. "What's the point of being a monster if you don't even fight back?" The guard left the cell, slamming it closed behind him. He fumbled with the keys for a moment, clacking them against the metal loudly, grunting in frustration. Eventually, he managed to lock the cell, belched loudly, and staggered down the hall, looking for more booze. Law enforcement. As the echoes faded, Knox looked through the bars at the man still lying on the ground. He was filthy, covered from head to toe in dirt, blood, and anything else that might have been on the jailhouse floor. Knox didn't feel bad for him. A monster was the reason Zook was dead, and he deserved to suffer the same fate. He glared at the creature, feeling nothing but hateful pity towards him, his pathetic whimpering. However, Knox felt compelled to talk to him for some reason, even if it was just to tell the man how much he hated him. At the very least, it would get his mind off his mother and Abby for a brief moment. "Hey," Knox called, his voice raspy and dry. The figure pulled his bound hands away from his face, looking in Knox's direction. The green eyes caught the dim torchlight, filling the jail, shimmering with an almost iridescent glow, like an animal in the dark. Before, it would have given Knox pause, but all it did now was fuel his rage as he remembered being stalked in the dark. "You're a fucking piece of shit, you know that?" Knox gasped, straining against the pain in his throat. "It's your fault my friend is dead." "I remember you," the man replied in a stuttering whisper. "I could smell you from before." He pushed himself up, crawling over the bars, his bloody fingers wrapped over the metal, pressing his dirty face against them. "I'm so sorry," he muttered, his brows furrowed. "I don't have any control over him." He glanced down at the floor. "But I remember everything. Every single thing he does." His eyes lifted back to Knox, sparkling in the torchlight, but Knox only glared back. "I don't fucking care what your excuses are," he growled, straining against his bronze. "You don't deserve to live, you monster." Slowly, the man nodded. "You're right. But I'm too afraid to die." Nox scoffed. Looks like you don't have a choice anymore. If Ragvir thinks you're with me, you'll be dead by sunrise. Nox let his chin fall to his chest. And I won't let you be far behind if I can help it. The man seemed to shudder for a moment, his face pressed hard against the bars. He continued to stare at Nox, snivelling as the truth of his fate set in. Nox felt a warm sense of pride spread through his chest. Making the man suffer made him feel good, especially after what he'd done to Zyuk. He deserved every bit of it. Why won't you give them that ring? The man asked between shuddering breaths. I can't, Nox replied flatly. It won't come off. And they don't believe you? You're not from around here, are you? Nox glared over at him, grinning with satisfaction at the man's pathetic state. Ragvir doesn't care about guilt or innocence, and neither do the knights. All they care about is results and power. But what if you told them the truth? Nox burst out laughing at that, unable to contain himself. The sheer ridiculousness of such a statement was beyond him. He couldn't believe someone could be so naive. Good thing you'll be dead by morning, Nox chuckled. You're obviously too stupid to live in Riala. Probably in Licorice too. He fixed his gaze back on the man. The truth is, the most worthless thing anyone could ever place hope in. The truth is, the most worthless thing anyone could ever place hope in. All that matters is what the king and his men believe. The smallest twinge of regret pulsed in Nox's stomach. He told Zyuk the same thing only a few days ago. There, he was saying it again to someone else after he'd come to believe in Zyuk and his mission to find the truth. Even though he'd lost everything. And it was the Belding's fault he'd been caught. He wondered for a fleeting moment if he was being fair. The emotions fought for dominance within him, tearing at his guts. Anger won over as Nox slumped forward, nearly on the edge of passing out again from exhaustion. Fucking idiot, he whispered. There was a long pause. I'm so sorry, the Belding replied, sinking back to the floor. I don't want to die. Nox ignored him, letting the darkness seep into his vision. Slowly it overtook him, whisking him away from the pain and anguish of the situation. Oh, that's so sad. I want to stop smoking for a second. Oh, bless. Nox could tell he was dreaming, because he could hear Zyuk's voice. Nox, the fox said, softly, barely above a whisper. For a brief moment, elation bloomed in Nox's chest, fooled into thinking Zyuk was alive. But just as quickly as it died away, he felt the grief set in. His dreams were being cruel to him. Zyuk had died, out on the plains, killed by the Belding, when he tried to stop Nox from being mauled to death. Nox, the whisper came again in the darkness. Tears began to form at the corner of Nox's eyes. He was so tired of crying. Tired of being in pain. Tired of being alive. Everything he'd ever worked to protect had been taken from him. He just wanted to meld into the darkness around him and cease to exist. At least then he'd finally be free of the life he'd done such a good job of destroying. Nox. His eyes flashed open and looked around the room, startled that his dreams could be so loud. The torches burned low in their brackets, casting everything in deep shadow. A few feet away, he could hear the drunken snores of the guard as that had began kicking at the building earlier. Pain flooded back into his system as he came awake, making him wish he was still in that black void. He didn't know what time it was, but he hoped it was close to dawn. That way he wouldn't have to suffer much longer. "Nox, are you awake?" a familiar voice whispered in the dark. Turning his head to the left, he glanced down. There in the dark was a small black shape, glowing golden eyes, staring up at him. "Zyuk? Is that you?" His voice trembled, not believing what he was seeing. "Yes, I knew it!" "Yes," he replied, keeping his voice low. "You are ready to get out of here?" Nox had to bite his lower lip to stifle a sob. "Yeah." Knew it! Oh! Too excited, I dropped my water bottle. 1 second. He's alive! He's alive! I mean, of course he's alive. He's a magical fox. It's been all so sad. And he was so convinced that he wasn't alive. But it's Daijo Boo now. Zyuk's here to save the day. What's my guess? We're on the last 6% or so now. So my guess for the rest of it is Zyuk's managed to get the teleporting scroll out, the instruction manual for the clavis, for the ring, for the clavis, and it had a teleportation spell in there. So that's how I reckon, and I reckon we're gonna do the teleport. We're going to be somewhere else, and that will be the end of book 1, start of book 2. That's my guess. Let's see if we go. Let's see if we're correct. Chapter 26. I need to update my currently reading. Okay. Let's read. Zyuk had been gnawing on the ropes for nearly 10 minutes before he had to take a break. He hadn't yet managed to break through a single one. "You need to get the hell out of here," Nox said, wincing at the sharp teeth brushing against his broken arm. "Confound these ropes," the fox hissed. Ignoring the advice, he hopped down from Nox's lap, looking around the room as he stretched his jaw. Maybe that guard has a knife on him or something. "Don't!" Nox whispered, stopping Zyuk in his tracks. "I don't want you to get hurt again. I told you to go." "I can't get through them with just my teeth. He's too drunk to wake up, right?" Nox took a deep breath, trying to calm his panic for Zyuk's sake. Just leave me here. You need to get out of the city before they realize who and what you are." He stared into Zyuk's golden eyes, willing him to understand. "Please. It's enough knowing that you're okay. Just go on your adventure and find what you're looking for. You really are dense, you know? Zip replied, staring back at him with no small amount of anger and frustration. I limped all the way back here to save you, and that's what I'm going to do. Now shut the hell up, or help me think. Little fox? A timid voice from the next cell over. I can help. Release the building! Zyuk turned and trotted over to the Belding, who was sitting near the bars. Zyuk, don't go near him! He ignored Nox. How can you help? The Belding stared at him for a long moment, then produced a small knife. Produced a knife from under a small pile of straw. There was sticky blood dried to the blade. It wasn't until that moment that Nox realized the Belding's bindings were gone from his hands and feet. The captain, he quivered. He left this behind. May I use it? The Belding held it out, but pulled it back as Zyuk reached out with his teeth. Will you get me out too? No, we won't! Nox hissed through his teeth, trying to stay as quiet as possible. The snoring guard only a few feet away. He knew the Belding would attack at any moment, trying to finish what he'd started the day before. Oh, come on, Nox! Nox, your trust issues. Need to work on those. He said that the wolf is someone else, dumbass. The wolf is a different person. Yes, I'll make sure you go free, Zyuk responded, ignoring Nox completely, as he fucking should. The knife was held out to him once again, and he took it in his teeth, pulling it through the bars, carrying it over to Nox. The blade was difficult for him to maneuver, but he managed to hop up to Nox's lap without dropping it. He awkwardly worked the blade against the ropes, sawing away one tiny fibre at a time. It took him a few minutes to finally get the first rope to snap. With a few stifled gasps, Nox managed to wriggle his broken arm free, letting the blood finally flow into his aching fingers. The pain was unimaginable as it all came back to life. But he ground his teeth together, forcing himself to pick up the blade and begin working on his other arm. In a few moments, he was completely free, stretching his legs out in front of him and wiggling his toes to get the feeling back. Zyuk had hopped down to the floor and waited patiently for Nox to finally get to his feet. The first few steps were treacherous, but he managed to keep himself upright using the chair for support. Now what? Nox asked, looking down at the fox. I'm free, but I can't get out of the cell. That's the easy part, Zyuk smiled, slipping his lethal form between the bars. He trotted over to the small table where the guard was seated, his tankard still in his hand as he drooled all over the wooden surface. The keys to the cell were hanging off his belt, well within reach. Zyuk, don't! Nox watched anxiously as Zyuk put his paws on the man's leg and slipped the key ring into his mouth. Sorry. With a careful lift, he pulled it from the hook on his belt and walked awkwardly back to the cell, trying to jingle them as little as possible. Nox wobbled over, bracing himself against the bars. He reached a hand through, taking the key ring in his hand and shifting towards the lock. There were 5 keys on the ring. He had to try 3 before he found the one that fit, of course. That is just how luck goes, I suppose. The lock made a loud click as the internal mechanism released the door, and Knox froze. The snore suddenly stopped. He looked up to see the guard had lifted his head and was staring in his direction, blinking. Captain? He slurred, wiping his eyes. His movements were dull and stupid. Is that you? Knox slowly opened the door, leaving the keys in the lock. With the dagger held behind his back, he walked towards the man, trying to keep his gait as normal as possible. As he stepped up to the table, the guard turned up to look at him. Captain, I can explain, he mumbled. He rubbed his eyes one last time, blinking in the dim light. Wait, what are you? The blade flashed through the air, and a splatter of blood splashed over the floor. The guard's eyes grew wide as he clawed at his throat, trying to staunch the flow. His expression was one of bewilderment as he slowly sank to the table. It only took a few seconds for the horrible gurgling to stop. Knox, Duck whispered, staring from a few feet away, worry clear in his voice. Come on, Knox replied, cutting him off before he could say more. He had his freedom. The spilled blood awakened a rage in his heart that needed to be satisfied. I have things to finish, he said, his voice flat and emotionless. What about me? The belding stammered from his cage. Knox looked at him with contempt. He glanced over to Zyuk, who was still very much alive, having survived the attack by the belding. Stumbling back, he yanked the keys from the lock and tossed them into the cage at the belding's feet. He had nothing to lose. Thanks for the knife, he smirked, flashing in his direction. The belding muttered words of thanks, but Knox wasn't listening. He was already a few steps ahead, starting up the stairs to the rest of the guardhouse. Knox! Zyuk called, rushing up behind him. Where are you going? I'm going to kill Ragvir and his men, as many as I can take with me. What? After all I did to get you out, you're going to commit suicide? I made a promise, Knox replied, and I'm going to cut his fucking heart out. Knox, please, you can't do this. You won't survive. That doesn't matter anymore. Knox! He held a hand up to silence the fox as they reached the top of the stairs. There was a long, spotless hallway in front of them, with doors on either side. The torchlight was brighter, but still burning low in the brackets. A large set of double doors stood slightly ajar to the left. Through them, Knox could see the main part of the guardhouse that civilians could access with a skeleton crew of guards milling about. The other smaller doors on the right remained closed, with one at the very end of the hall. He needed to know which one led to the captain's quarters on the second floor. One by one, he tested the door handles, trying to keep as quiet as possible. The first door creaked open, and he saw a storage room full of supplies, swords and bits of armor. With a blood-stained dagger already in his hand, he pulled the door closed, moving on to the next. He wanted to cut Ragvir down with his own knife. The next door opened to a large room filled with tables and chairs. At the far end were two guards sitting around a wobbly table with cards in their hands. They looked up at the next squeal of the door. Knox immediately pulled it shut before they could call out. Within seconds, he heard the chairs scrape against the floor as the soldiers got to their feet, their voices full of confusion. With his heart pounding in his chest, Knox bolted to the third and final door. on the right side. Finding it locked, he proceeded to the one at the end of the hall. The latch lifted freely, and he slipped inside with Zyuk on his heels. Just as the soldiers stepped out into the hall, keeping the door open only a crack, he watched as they looked about. After a moment of searching, they headed towards the jail in search of the disturbance. Nox knew what they would find there. He was running out of time to exact revenge. "Nox!" Zyuk called from the other side of the room. "I found something." Turning on the spot, Nox looked around the room, which turned out to be a large office. An overstuffed chair sat near a fireplace on one side, while the center of the room was taken up by a large desk. Stacks of paper and tools littered the surface. Behind it were a few smaller tables, each with its own array of paperwork, odd trinkets, and metal armor that looked like it was being in the process of being cleaned. Zyuk had disappeared behind the desk and came back dragging a leather bag with his teeth. It was the same one Nox had been wearing when he was captured. "I think it's your stuff," he said, dropping the bag at Nox's feet. Crouching down, Nox pulled it open. Most of the items were gone, but the rolled up scrolls, the glowing crystal, and his dagger were still in the bag. Oh, how convenient! All the magical shit that he might need. It seemed Ragvir had been holding on to them to hand off to the Prime Eberron once he got his ring. He pulled out his trusted dagger and strapped it to his belt as a backup. I don't need this junk anymore," Nox said, standing back up and turning towards the door. He held the bloody knife up for Zyuk to see. "I have everything I need to kill Ragvir." "We can use the scrolls to get out of here," Zyuk urged, nudging the bag towards him. "You can come back when you're healed." "No," Nox said, ignoring his pleas. "This ends tonight." "Nox!" But he was already out of the door, heading towards the locked one a few feet away, knowing it was the right one. He reached into his pocket, but cursed under his breath as he realized he'd given the keys to the building in the cells. Ragvir was behind this locked door. Behind the locked door that stood in his way. Everyone knew he always stayed in the guardhouse when he was working on someone, disappearing for days at a time. Every fiber of his being was screaming to break the door down. But with his injuries, he knew it would be impossible with force alone. Instead, he jammed the dagger into the lock, putting all his weight against it. The blade lodged itself inside, but wouldn't go any further. Voices sounded from the jail below. He was out of time. Reeling back, Nox lifted his least damaged leg and kicked, driving the heel of his boot into the pommel of the knife. The door shuddered as the lock snapped, the latch breaking off its setting. Slowly it swung inward. The dagger, however, was destroyed and permanently wedged into the lock. Nox left it behind and pulled the spare from his belt. He'd wanted to use the same knife on Ragvir, but his trusted dagger would do just fine. More cries from the jail drew his attention to the stairs. A dark figure appeared at the top, blood soaking his guard's uniform. A short sword was held in his hand, dark liquid dripping to the floor. Nox held up his dagger, ready to fight, as the man started towards him. Shouts still echoing from the jail. It wasn't until he stopped a few feet away that Nox noticed the mop of greasy hair and bright green eyes. "What the fuck do you want?" he snapped. I'm here to help," the man replied, shifting nervously. He glanced down at the sword. I can fight. I owe you for saving me. My debt has to be repaid. I don't want your help. Besides, I'm the reason you got caught in the first place. The man shook his head, staring at the floor. The thing living inside me nearly killed you. Because of me, you've suffered unimaginable horrors. I don't deserve to live. He lifted his gaze to Nox. But if I've been blessed with life, I'm going to spend every moment of it defending you. Aww. We gained a second pupper. Nox rolled his eyes. Well, if it's going to cost you about 5 minutes. Without waiting for a response, he pushed through the door, heading up the set of stairs, just inside. He was tired of the distractions. The captain was close. He could almost smell it. Just the thought of dragging his blade across Ragvir's throat sent a surge of murderous elation through his body. He wasn't doing it for just his mother anymore. It was for Abby, for her long-dead brother, for the citizens of Kald who'd been tortured to death by the captain, and most of all, it was for himself. His entire life had been spent living on fringes of society, doing everything he could to stay out of sight, and on the right side of the law, even if it meant he starved half to death. But all that was over now. All that mattered was blood. He was going to have it, one way or another. And I believe this is the last chapter. Oh no. Oh no. Oh. Drink. Righto. Chapter 27. Are you ready? I'm not. I'm a little scared. But we got a new party member, at least. Let's go. Let's go, bro. At the top of the stairs, Nox found a dark, open chamber decorated with opulent furniture and a single chair worth more than anything he'd ever owned. He scanned the room, ignoring the decadence, and knowing he didn't have much time. Behind him, he heard the bell ding reach the top of the stairs, his bare feet nearly silent on the wooden floor. The tapping of claws signaled Zyuk's arrival as well, although he remained quiet. Probably a smart thing to do. He didn't understand why the pair were following him. But the time for arguing had passed. The guardhouse had already been alerted to his presence, and it wouldn't be long until the entire force of the city guard found them. But by then, it would be too late. They'd find Nox holding Ragvir's decapitated head, ready to accept death from whoever would deal it out. Once his revenge was taken, there was nothing left to live for. More shouts echoed from below, as he could hear the pounding of feet in the halls. The garrison was assembling to defend itself. Scanning the room, he saw a single open door on the far side. Without hesitation, he limped across, not wanting to miss his opportunity to catch Ragvir off guard. The other two called after him, but he couldn't understand over the blood pounding in his ears, rage filling every inch of his body. He threw the door wide and stepped in, holding the knife high. But the room was empty. His eyes fell to the bed, the blankets ruffled and unkempt. Had he been wrong? Was the captain not in the guardhouse? Behind him he heard footsteps and shouts reached the top of the stairs in the captain's quarters. They were right on top of him. The noise was just enough to distract him from a sudden flash of darkness that caught him in the chest, lifting him off his feet and knocking him backwards into the building. Both of them crashed to the ground, sprawled on top of one another. Zyuk yelped, barely managing to dodge the falling bodies. Pain shot through Nox's body, having landed on his broken arm, which further disfigured it. Bodies rushed into the room as he gathered his senses, creating a large circle around them. Glancing up, he saw the shirtless captain in a pair of trousers, holding a sword out towards Nox. His body laced with lightning wounds that had begun to bleed again. My. It seems somebody managed to escape their bindings. How intriguing, he smirked. Looks like you knew how to use that ring after all. His eyes flashed to the fox and the building. And you brought a fellow inmate and a pet to help you exact your revenge. How quaint. Nox forced himself to his feet, gritting his teeth against the pain. You're fucking dead, he breathed, adjusting his grip on his dagger. Don't move a fucking muscle! God, they like to swear, don't they? A guard yelled, bringing his sword up to Nox's neck from behind, pressing the cold blade hard against his flesh. Ragfir held his hand up. Stand down and give us some room. But Captain... Do what you're told! He looked at the others. Back the fuck up. The sword came away from Nox's skin, and he heard a series of shuffling footsteps as all the soldiers backed away. Only Zyuk, the Belding, and the Belding were left at his side. He could feel the fox's fur against his leg as he drew near. It won't take much to put you down, although I'm sad to do it, the captain mused. I really wanted to spend the next few days picking you apart piece by piece. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe if I do this right, I'll still get a chance. Eh? You'll have to go through me first, the Belding said, taking a step forward with his bloody sword drawn. I knew you two were working together, Ragbear glanced at Nox. You're a terrible liar, you know. He turned back to the Belding. You look pretty pathetic to me. But by all means, let's get this over with, so I can move on to my prize. The Belding didn't stop to argue. He raised his sword and rushed Ragbear, but the captain was expecting it, parrying the blow aside with ease. His blade he slashed upwards, drawing the tip of his sword across the Belding's chest. It tore through the fabric and flesh as if it was paper. The man cried out in pain, stumbling backwards and falling to the floor. His sword clattered on the wood as it skidded away towards the circle of guards. Ragvir's wicked smile looked down on the frightened creature in front of him. I'm disappointed, he mused. Prime Ilbran said you'd be dangerous. But now I see you all in action. I understand the truth. He paused. You really are just some guy who came across a strange relic in the hollow. He pulled the sword back, placing the stained tip on the ground, with both of his hands resting on the pommel. I had a feeling that you were telling the truth about that part. After all, if you really were as powerful as Ilrin thought, we wouldn't have been able to keep you down so easily. Nox's face twisted into a look of fury as realization settled in. Yeah, that's right. I knew you were telling the truth the whole time. The captain smiled, lowering his voice. But I can't tell you how sweet it was to watch you suffer as I cut down those bitches in front of you. A scream of rage left Nox's lips as he ran for Ragvir, ready to tear the man limb from limb with his bare hands if he had to. The captain simply pulled his blade up and deflected the attack, throwing Nox off balance. Catching him by the throat with his offhand, Nox felt himself lifted from the floor once more, his feet kicking in the air as he struggled. Ragvir grabbed his other hand by the wrist, stopping the dagger from striking again, even. You are a fool, he sneered and threw Nox to the ground. His body hit the wood hard, knocking the wind out of him. Before he had a chance to move, a streak of white-hot pain flashed through his belly. He craned his neck, looking up at Ragvir, who stood over him, his blade buried deep into Nox's torso. How the fuck is this man gonna live? We have 1% of the book left! Oops, he said, coiling. That one might kill you. Oh no. Suddenly, the captain cried out, tearing the blade from Nox's body. An alarming amount of blood welled up in the wound, dripping over his hip to the ground. As he stared as the captain flailed his leg about, as if trying to shake something off. With one final kick, the dark shape flew through the air, landing on his feet next to Nox with his jaws dripping red. Get the fuck away from him! Nox growled, his lips pulled back into a snarl. The captain's jaw dropped. What is this? Nox felt the belding at his side, pressing a hand over the open wound in his belly to stop the bleeding. But he knew it wouldn't do any good. It was over. There was a rustling of paper in his opposite side, as Zyuk pushed open a familiar bundle of scrolls. Nox glanced at the strange runes spilling across the page. He must have taken them from the office in the must have taken them from the captain's office. Good luck explaining this to your master. Zyuk hissed. He lifted a bloody paw and slammed it down in the center of the spell. Lan away! For a long moment nothing happened, but surprise faded from the captain's face, replaced by a cruel smile. He took a step forward and froze. A faint orange glow began to grow, spiraling across the page from where Zyuk's paw had touched it. The air in the room started to swirl, and the smile faded into one of concern, then anger as he realized what was happening. Ragvir took another step forward, just before a concussive wave erupted from the scroll, knocking him off his feet. You are not welcome, Zyuk growled. The orange glow built, filling the room with light as the air gathered around them. Heat filled the room as if the noonday sun had suddenly appeared on the ceiling. Nox felt the pain in his body easing slightly as the magic crept across him. It was warm and comforting. His eyes fluttered as he realized just how tired he really was. how much he wanted sleep. Shouts and rattling weapons filled the room as one last wave of energy blasted the approaching guards away. Zyuk pressed a soft paw in the center of his chest. Suddenly the light grew to a brilliant white, forcing him to close his eyes. He felt his body lurch like he'd been yanked upwards by his belt. The furious shouts of the captain fading away. The world around him went dark and silent for the briefest moment. Time slowed to a standstill as the weightlessness set in. "The time has finally come," a raspy feminine voice said in the immense darkness. "Be at peace. I am waiting for you." With that, he felt the presence vanish, and he hit the ground hard, the shock sending new waves of pain through his body. The smell of salt filled his nostrils as he sucked in a cool breath. He kept his eyes closed, listening to the cry of birds in the distance. The brief void had felt so peaceful. He wanted to go back. A paw pushed at his chest. "Stay with me, Nox," Zyuk begged. "Open your eyes." The end! The end! Book complete. We have finished Exordium. We have read the entire book on stream. And as expected, because it is the first book in a trilogy, it ended in a bit of a cliffhanger. But what more could we expect? Trilogies, bro. What a wonderful adventure we've just had. It was very depressing at times, but what it did impress me with is most of the time it was pretty much just Nox. Like, most of this book was only carried by the main character and his musings. As annoying as he was sometimes with his trust issues, he was an interesting enough character to pretty much carry the entire book. Literally the only other recurring character we had was Zyuk. Everyone else just kind of came and went with the particular scene. But yeah, I'll be picking up the second book of that. What a wonderful adventure that was. Yeah. This is Baker Wolf. You can find him on your... What, did it have his socials and stuff on there? No, okay, so he's written quite a lot. He's got the Crystalline Chronicles, which I think the first one is out of that, actually, as much as it says coming soon. And he's got loads. He's got loads. I got him on TikTok, and like he writes so fast. If you want to read about the author, either like read this, either go back and watch this and pause, or buy it yourself. Links in here in the chat. You can do it right now. You can go buy his book. Hashtag not an ad. Hashtag it's just a good book and you should buy it. Because I will not be reading the second book on stream. You have to go buy it yourself. I can't. It's going to be on my list to read. But you got to do it yourself, unfortunately. Oh, that was really good. It's done. It's done. We can take my book count down now. We're on 81. No one told me that my book count was wrong. 89 even, not 81. I can't count. No one told me that it was wrong. I should have been on 90 when I'd been on 80 for a while. I'm just that good at numbers. Yeah. We have a bit of extra time. I knew we would, because I only had 8% of this book. And I wasn't gonna, like... I did a short story last time, but honestly I'm kind of running out of short stories. I'm just gonna hide this a minute. I'm gonna give you a little look at the next book we're gonna be reading. So the next book is one I've already read. Take away again. We don't need that anymore. I'm gonna replace that. I don't think I have what I need to replace it right now. Let me find it. It's in my Kindle. Here it is. Here it is. And it's probably right at the end. Yes, it is. Rewind. So, the next book is The Purple Door District, which is a urban fantasy. So we're going from medieval fantasy to urban fantasy. I have permission to read half of this book, so we'll be getting to the 50% mark. So that should be 4 to 5 streams, depending on how long it is. I think it's a tiny weeny bit bigger than Exordium, but not by much. Like I said, I've already read this. I really enjoyed it the first time around, which is why I reached out to the author to ask for permission. And here it is. We have permission. So look forward to that next week. As for today, what are we going to do to wind down from that? I don't know. I mean, my go-to has always been Hollow Cure, but that probably needs updating. I haven't been keeping it updated. We're not currently reading blooming anything. I could find something else to read, but I don't know what. I should have planned for this. I really did, kind of know that I would probably run out of book. Oh, I know. I have an idea that will be kind of interesting. So there's this browser game. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. Cool. Browser game. I'm not actually getting any sound from it. Let's see if I can zoom this in a little bit. So a dark room is just a text adventure that you can play on Chrome or whatever, really. I thought it would be interesting to have a quick look at. So, this is where we are. We're in a dark room and the fire is dead. The room is freezing. We should light the fire. The light from the fire spills from the windows out into the dark. And we should stoke the fire. Make sure it stays alight. The fire is roaring. Ooh, there is sound. So I did put the audio on. A ragged stranger stumbles through the door and collapses in the corner. Interesting. A silent forest. The wood is running out. The wind howls outside, so we need to go outside to gather some wood. It hasn't let me interact with this stranger yet. Gather wood. Let me see if I can make this a wee bit bigger. Let me just 1 second. Yeah, it has random events and all sorts of fun shit, stuff like that. No, not this. I do this. This, and then make it a bit bigger. Is that nice and easy to see, hopefully? A strange thrumming, pounding and crashing. Visions of people and places, of huge machine and twisting curves, inviting. It would be so easy to give in. I don't know what this is. It's been a long time since I played this. This used to be something I may or may not have played while at work. A lot. Not in the work I work at now, for the record, but I'm gonna ignore it. So I need to gather some wood. Dry bush and dead branches litter the floor. So we're just gathering wood. Gathering wood. That's a bit scary. So what about the stranger? I guess I'm gonna try to keep the room warm for both of us. Oh. Sorry, I changed the stuff while I was getting this sorted. There we go. I can see things again. Wonderful. Okay, so we've got some wood. Can I stoke the fire? Where can I see if I'm... Oh, here it is. Here it is. Got loads of wood. Got loads of wood. We're fine. Oh, so, the stranger is standing by the fire. Says she can help build things. Stranger shivers and mumbles quietly. Her words unintelligible. The stranger in the corner stops shivering. Her breathing calms. Builder says she can make traps to catch any creatures might still be alive out there. Builder says she can make a cart for carrying wood. So I think... How many? I need 10 and 30 to make stuff. Oh, okay, I need a bit more room for this. Okay, let's see if I can zoom out a little. So we can see the wood. That's way too much. Can you read that? Is that readable? Let me actually look at this from my actual stream perspective. Okay, that's not terrible. What I can do is this. There we go. Okay. Through the walls, shuffling noises can be heard. Can't tell what they're up to. Let's investigate it. A bundle of sticks lies just beyond the threshold, wrapped in coarse furs. The night is silent. Oh, so we've got some random stuff. Go back inside. So I think we got enough wood to make a cart, so we should definitely make a cart, and we should make a trap as well. Fire is roaring, strange noises can be heard through the walls. The builder says there are more wanderers, says they'll work too. A rickety cart will carry more, so let's check the traps, and then gather some wood, and go back to the room. So we can build another hut, so that other people can start working with us. A lodge, so I guess villagers could have hunt, that means. So the lodge is super expensive. We need a lot more wood, which we are slowly gathering. So let's build a hut for now. The builder puts up a hut out of the forest, says word will get around, so someone will come live there. Yay! We'll have friends. I mean slaves. I mean friends. The fire is burning, which is good. A weathered family takes up in one of the huts. So we have a family helping us out. So how much we need for we need a crap ton for the lodge. Oh, so we have more gatherers for wood. Check the traps while I'm here. Suppose we can make some more traps. I know that takes up wood and we do need wood for other things, but doesn't hurt to have more stuff. Yeah, I like this. This is a very chill adventure thing. Wait, I have to see how much stuff I've got. Let me see if I can fix that. This is an awkward one for streaming sizes, I'll give that. There we go. You can see everything. I wish I could cut off this bit of white space that's there. A stranger arrives in the night. Wonderful. Can I... I've already put them to work, gathering wood. A pack of snarling beasts pour out of the trees. The fight is short and bloody, but the beasts are repelled. The villagers retreat to mourn the dead. Oh, so they won't gather things for me anymore? God. We nearly got enough wood for the lodge. Just two more. Two more, please. Yeah, we got enough. Build the lodge. The hunting lodge stands in the forest a ways from town. So I'm gonna have to wait for wood again for anything else. Let's stoke the fire while we're here. Gather the wood. Oh, now I can, like, assign people stuff. But currently I can't because they're all mourning by the looks of things, so they're all too sad to work. Why is that? I don't have enough wood. Why are we giving me the option for that? I want to put the trap. Another weathered family in the huts. So we got 3 gatherers. Can I... Oh, okay, so I can hire people to do the things. So we can spread them out a little bit more. But I do need wood more than I need anything else. So... Oh, wonderful. We got a new person. That's okay. So we can keep it like that then. lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. We like stuff. We got another stranger arriving in the night. And the room is hot. Nice. We don't have enough for another hut yet, so we can't get more people just yet. Oh, now we do. Yay! Hut. Many, many huts. Not enough wood. I just wondered what it would do if I clicked it when I didn't have enough. No, through the wall, shuffling noises can be heard. I would like to investigate again. Vague shapes move just out of sight. The sounds stop. Spooky. My tiny village. Gather, 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 gather. Get all the things. Maybe gather. Oh, I don't have any more water. Oh well, I will survive. A weathered family takes up in one of the huts. Yay, so there's 4, so I think I might... Fur and meat, meat and bait. I think getting bait is more important than meat, and I want to make sure there's always at least 2 gatherers, so... Which means I can do that. No! No, too many clicks, too many clicks. Wonderful. Keep gathering, keep gathering. Get another hut, I guess. When? No, it's 200 wood now? Oh, I guess no. Fire is burning. Let's make sure it stays that way. The traps. We just gather, gather, gather right now. We do eventually have things we need to use this stuff for. Another stranger arrives in the night. Wonderful. Gather, 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 gather. Okay, we got enough for another hut. A trading post? So, 400 wood and 100 fur. So we have enough fur, just not wood. So I could hold out, potentially. Or I could potentially just get one more hut. And then hopefully I get like a lot of people to help me get said stuff. Because the huts are now 150. Oh, it's just still a lot. That's a lot. Yes, audio. I can't believe we did it. Some of the traps have been torn apart. How fucking dare they? I paid for those. Large prints lead away into the forest. Let's track them. The tracks disappear after just a few minutes. The forest is silent. Well, that's spooky. Some of the traps have been destroyed. A weathered family takes up one of the huts. Nothing was found. And, oh, we got a lot of people. That's good. Let's go for that. Oh, so we're getting wood pretty fast now. That's wonderful. Wonderful! Many people! That does mean my meat is going down quite a lot because I assume they are eating that. Let's get rid of that. +2, and then -2 per 10s every 10 seconds. Yeah, so meat's the main thing we're eating. Just try and make sure I'm gathering enough stuff. I'm not gathering enough meat because I need everyone to live. But I am gathering, yeah, so I'm getting plus, I'm losing a lot actually. I need to potentially up these a little bit. It's because the trappers. So that's going to keep it nice and even. If I can take another trapper away, which I know is gonna lose me some bait, but that's okay, I've got loads. Okay, yeah, that's plenty. That's good. That's good, we got enough. Gather wood, check the traps. We nearly have enough wood for the trading post. 6 more, 6 more, 6 more, 6 more. Ooh, we got a tannery and a smokehouse. 500 wood. Everything needs so much wood. One thing at a time. Let's get that trading post now we've got enough. Oh, so I can buy some stuff if needed. Nice. Now the nomads have a place to set up shop. They strange throwing and pounding and crashing. Visions of Should we give in this time? Should we just see what happens? Give in. What the hell is this? We've been taken to a different game. What? No. No, I don't know what you are, and I can't risk you having some kind of copyrighted shit on stream, okay? We're staying in the dark room. Hi. There was the tea fairy. I had to say hi. So we have 500 wood this time around. Okay, okay. Press the buttons again. Buttons! I've got 6 people gathering. I really want to keep people in the gathering a lot, and I'm still up on the meat, so that's good. So we're not minusing on anything. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Can we build another hut? No. No. But we should, because then we can get more people to get this stuff a bit faster. Speed! And efficiency! Everyone must work for their keep. Even the tiny children. No, probably not. But we don't know what kind of weird post-apocalypse this is. Fire is flickering. The traps contain a bit of meat. I should probably stay here so that I can keep clicking these whenever they become available. 1 second! I have been offered tea by the tea fairy. We're back. I have put in my tea order. There should be one soon. Yay! A pack of snarling beasts. Oh no! Don't go home! Predators become prey. Price is unfair. Alright, so we've got 400 or so. Maybe I should hold on for the tannery, which will help me get cured meat, I believe, which I think lasts longer than the actual meat, which will be good. Another stranger arrives in the night. Oh, there's lots. Gonna need more houses soon. I'm gonna start complaining at me about that. Nice, so that's enough for the tannery now. Tannery goes up quick on the edge of the village. So tanners give me fur and leather. Let's track the shit out of those traps. Tracks, but never gonna bloody find anything, are we? Let's stick a tanner in there. So we lose fur, but we can make leather, which is good. Which I assume is good. I don't know what I can use that for specifically yet. And then there's the smokehouse at 600. So I'll get some more huts and stuff before then, I think. Because I need more people, and people need places to live. Yeah, we should have a quick look while that's doing that. At one minute. Let me get the not that one. We should look just for the teaser at the second book. Arbitrium. Let's have a look. What goes on in the second book of Exordium? After unimaginable torture, yeah, that about covers it, Nox and his companions make a daring escape, but now their journey is just beginning and the world itself is at stake. Nox has lost everything he ever cared about. Hidden in his injured state, he can think of nothing but revenge and making it back to Kald. I mean, nothing's changed there, really. It's just a very different reason to make it back. Even if it costs him his life. However, when the old Almira tells him she communicates on the god's behalf. Let me just mute that shit a minute. A beggar arrives, asking for spare furs to keep him warm at night. How many furs we got? We got a butt ton, but I'm still only going to give you 50. The beggar expresses thanks, leaves a pad of small scales behind. Huh. Interesting. Heading up for a hut. Back to the blub. Old Witch Alma tells him she communicates on the god's behalf. She makes him an offer he can't refuse. He accepts the power of the Clavis with the promise that the gods will resurrect a single person should he succeed in his quest. Though a single person is a very difficult one for him because obviously he loves his mum. But Abby died too, and Abby had a whole family that she was trying to provide for, and a whole family that's going to be missing her. So that's an interesting proposition. I bet there's a bit of angst around wanting to bring his mother back, but knowing that, you know, Abby probably is the one of the two that deserves to live, because his mother was very sickly, didn't have too much of life anyway. Now, with nothing but anger in his heart, Nox sets out through Licorice, wandering aimlessly in search of the beacons left by the gods. With their divine power once again released, Nox will have the ability to save all of Licorice from the seed of evil that has taken root in the world. Blindly led by rage, Nox makes a mistake that not only gets the group kidnapped, but trapped on a deserted island. However, it seems there's more to this place than he expected. Can Nox escape the island and find the beacons, or will he succumb to his anger and lead everyone to their dooms? Buy the adventure today! Arbitrium is the second novel in the epic fantasy series Bone, Stone and Wood. If you like sarcastic characters, magical animal companions, emotional twists, and powerful reveals, then you'll love Blake Oswald's adventure-packed story. Great for fans of Dungeons & Dragons Critical Role and Vox Machina. He knows how to write a description, that's for sure. Very good, Blake Horrorwolf. This is definitely going on my list. In fact, while you're here, I'm gonna hide that a minute and throw the free sample on my Kindle. Yay! He has arrived! The beggar wants more fur! I just gave the beggar a bunch of fur. I'm sorry. We need the fur too. Thank you, Tea Fairy. You're the best. Tea Fairy brought me popcorn tea and it's great. So we need 600 wood for that one. That's a lot. But we don't like 9 gatherers now? Come on. Oh, I need a bunch of traps. Because I've got no traps. Because they're all bloody broken. There we go. I don't know how many traps I actually collected them. Baited like 6 traps now. That's fine. 6 traps, 4 huts, 1 cart. Can I get more carts? No. Maxed out at 1 apparently. That's a shame. I can't see chat, I just realised. Pop out the chat. Come over here. We're doing some dark room stuff. We're clicking buttons on an exciting text-based adventure. I said this is not, it's not text. We're killing time on a stream because I don't want to stop a stream at less than an hour and a half, basically. Some of the traps... You better find something this time. Track 'em. Not far from the village lies a large beast. Its fur is matted with blood. It puts up little resistance before the knife. Yeah! We killed it. We killed the thing that's been destroying our bloody traps. But yeah, a dark room is a wonderful thing. just to kill some time if you want to. You just click buttons, read stuff, get stuff. You eventually get to a point where you have to kind of go out adventuring, so you need to buy... That's how buying the compass. So what fur do I need? Oh, if the old lady hadn't took my bloody fur, I could have bought the compass and we could have started adventuring. It's very annoying. What do I get fur from specifically? From hunters. So we've got quite a bit of fur coming in, to be fair. To be fair. I think if I turn the tanner off for a little while, turn the hunters up, then we should get enough to get the compass, and then we can go adventure. Actually adventure, not just sit here and click buttons. Yeah, the wood. Oh, I've got enough for the smokehouse? Yeah. So this is how we make some cured meat. Wonderful. I like jerky, but it's hard to get jerky here in New England. It's very expensive here. I would love to eat jerky more. So do I not have a tanner going? Yeah, because tanner need. I need the furs for other things, but I also need leather for this. Management. How much fur do I need? 400 fur. That's a lot of fur. We are miles off the fur. A wanderer arrives with his empty cart. He says if he leaves with wood, he'll bring back more. I mean, he fucking better. Otherwise, I'm not giving him any more if he comes back. Do I have enough scales and teeth? Yeah, I do. Wonderful. So we're just waiting on that fur. Which I suppose I could boost up the hunters for a bit, if that's what I'm really looking for right now. And I could get a couple more traps going. And then that way, I should hopefully get more every time I check my traps. That's how it goes. Chill. So much fur. I could just really boost this. I really want that compass. Come on. Go murder so much for me, peasants. Oh, sleepy now. We did a lot. We've read a whole book together, and on this channel, which is what I wanted to do. But I kind of resigned myself to just reading samples most of the time, because I thought that was all I would be able to have access to. But I was really happy when Blake R. Wolf said I could read his whole book. It was really good. I'm happy he did. A lot of swearing at the end though. But I guess that's what happens when you're sad, you're desperate. You start swearing a lot. Telling people are getting your fucking knickers in a twist. Oh, I need to get some people. Pack of snarling beasts. Oh no, don't go home to mourn. I need you to get things for... Oh, we got 400. We got 400. Is that enough? Yes, we have the compass. Nice. So now we can go on a dusty path, in which we can take a charm and some meat And we can embark on a little adventure. Look at this shit. Look at this little like rogue like shit. This actual rogue shit. The mouth of the cave is wide and dark. You can't see what's inside, so I can't go there. Oh! Kick his ass! Kick his ass! Kick his ass! Eat meat! Kick his ass! Kick his ass! Look at that! Look at that absolute... Oh, I need... Oh, why is there take all... Well, yeah, okay. Take everything and leave. So this is the whole actual adventure part. An old house remains here. Once white, siding, yellow and peeling. Go inside. Oh no! Oh no! Oh fuck, I died. Ow. The world fades and I at least get to go home. So let's rebalance my tiny village a little bit. Because we don't need that many hunters. I do need some cured meat now. And I do want to start working on getting some leather now as well. Because then I can get the workshop. Not that I'm sure what the workshop does, but I'm sure it's useful for something or other. I have a lot of cured meat though, so I could probably go back out there. And just take a bit more meat with me this time. So if I, like, yeah, take a good 10 with me. I think that's the max I can take at the moment. And I don't have any armor. So, I guess the workshop's probably to make armor and stuff. Not far off the amount of leather we need, to be fair. Only about 10. But we are miles off the wood. Scratching noises can be heard from the storeroom. Investigate! Some wood is missing! Bitch! I need wood, bro! What do we even use bait for? I don't need bait right now. Next, I need leather. I need like 5 more leather. And then, yeah, I need meat in general. I don't need that much cured meat though. So, let's get it. So I've got plenty of gatherers. We need lots and lots of wood. Lots and lots and lots of wood. Yes. Should be able to embark again now. Yeah, I can. What else is going on? We got a house. Hopefully there's not someone inside to punch me in the face. Okay, the house is abandoned, but not yet picked over. There are small things. We got some cloth. Take all you can. Oh, so I have very limited stacks of what I can do. Ah! I wish this gave me more time to react. Jesus Christ. You can hit me so many times the amount of times I can hit them. I'd eat meat. Take the meat, I guess. Take what I can. And leave. Oh, I just returned home. That's what the A is. The A is home. Okay, we're learning. We're learning. How was my leather? I've got 100 leather. I haven't got enough wood, so I'm waiting for wood. But I can... Yes, I've got 1 tanner going anyway. So that's fine. Let's go back out again. I don't have any charms, but I didn't know where I got the charm in the first place. So let's just go with meat. Okay. So there's a house here, which I think... Ah, no, there's a person in there! Oh, he's got a whole 10 health. Ow, 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 ow. Die, 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 die. Please die, please die, please die, please die. Oh! I will take your cured meat, thank you, I need that. Take what I can get, take what I can get, and leave. What's a V? Okay, so V is the... Okay, I need to go home. Oh, I'm gonna die of hydration. I need to be able to carry more water. Gather stuff. Still need loads of wood. I'm doing pretty well on everything else. Ah, some traps. God damn it. Not far from the village. Large beast. Murder it. How are my traps looking? I have no traps. So let's do some traps. Traps for days. Which unfortunately hit my wood reserves. My god damn it. I was trying to save that. Looks like... Cottage, is that making the cured meat? I've got loads of cured meat. I don't need that, so that's going to give me an extra 5. 10 per second, 10 per 10 seconds, that's great. How's my meat looking? Nothing's taking away my meat, so that's great. We can just keep that going as is. Check the traps. I can't go very far with this, but I could still... There's still a couple of directions I could do. And we can see how we go. So, this way, so there's another cave there. Oh no! Shit. Die. Don't die. Me. They die.